Preparing. Hi, Dee. Hi.
I'm going to do more light. 1 second.
All right. Hi, everybody. Yes, talk in the chat, please. Tell me all the things. Preparing. Hi, Dee. Hey. We should be live. Oh, there we go down the chat. Make sure you're doing panelists and attendees, you guys, so that we can all see you. Tracy, let me know that other thing worked that I was supposed to do because it got loud. So I just clicked it out, but you said I could. So I hope that was the right thing to do. Oh, there you are from Vancouver, Danielle.
Hi.
Yes, you're on YouTube. Okay, cool.
You know, like it's so cliche now, but I love seeing where everybody's from. Like, look at this:
Me
New
too.
Zealand, Washington State, Pennsylvania, upstate New York, Gloucestershire, Mass, Ottawa. Hey.
And what is Setchet?
Seashell.
What?
Seashell. It's what is Seashell? Is Seashell an island? I should know this. Or is it like on? Is it? It's
Someone up there was like, "Hey,
yeah.
Hello, Solange. Hi, everybody. Hi, Sin. Hi, Chris. Look at all the people. North Carolina. We got Vegas in the house. Salutations from Toronto. All right, I know I have to make announcements before we start. So wait, what are they? I'm just looking. Okay, move into that part, right? That's exciting. Yes, tell us where you're from. You guys are doing it. Oh, thanks, Barb. Congrats on how well your book is doing. Yes, I just put up a post on Instagram basically saying I haven't looked up in about a year and a half, it feels like. And tonight is the first, I just said to Joyce, wow, it's like the light is actually, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, meaning I'm allowing myself to let I'm afraid to let all of it in because I might just bawl my eyes out for the next 2 hours. So I'm going to try to avoid that because that's not that much fun. Okay. But do you know what I mean? Well, I know you do.
Well, what do we know about sales yet? Like, or just response? Like, is there some news? Did I miss something?
I mean, it's just been really positive. We've been charting on Amazon. Tracy will drop stats, but we won't know the real hard numbers. But they put in a second printing of the book before it even went to pub date. Mm-hmm. So we know that stuff, our whole pre-launch plan, which we worked so hard on because I'm a first-time author and because people didn't know who the hell I was. I mean, some people did, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not a commodity in the world of books.
Yeah.
So we really worked hard on the pre-order campaign, and it was enough to have even the brick and mortar places, so Barnes and Noble, order enough for them to go into so Sounds True is very psyched, feels very happy, and me very happy. Still waiting for Amazon. Okay, yeah.
We both went for that comment.
What? Oh, hey, Joanna Wilson. How you doing? Hey, Kara. Anyway, thanks for saying that, Barb, and get that combo going, because I was trying so hard not to be like, let me just obsessively refresh Amazon's ratings, because you can do that.
Yeah. And one could do that. Yeah.
I mean, not like I know, but I really didn't. Tracy and Joy, like the team was keeping me informed enough, but I was so busy because part of this plan was I think we have 70 things that will have or that have gone live from, the last 2 weeks to the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, you're a trooper, right? Yeah.
Or insane. I don't know. Can't stop, won't stop. Like, just yes, as they're coming in,
Look great. And this is what it is. Like, it's not different. Like, you push it out of your vagina and it's a book. And
wait, do you want something really funny, you guys? Years ago, before you and I were really close, but we were close. Like, we were friends, but we weren't like besties.
Yeah.
And I was interviewing you for something, and you were like, balance is a myth.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, she's so full of shit. Long before, I was like, you could have balance if you really work. No. What you said is so true. And it was the most true experience during the actual writing and finishing and hitting deadlines and all the things I was going through too, because pandemic, my mom's illness, there was no balance at all. Just fucking work, Yeah. I'm just saying. So Dee, will you tell us some things about your boundary challenges or something. You're supposed to tell a
Well,
story, I think.
you've asked that question about like a moment, a boundary moment. And I was sitting in my kitchen yesterday with Renee, who's like, for those of you who don't know Renee, Renee's like, core part of team. She's like one of my wings. And both at the same time, we said the ferry story. So the ferry, as in the ferries that you drive on.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a dark and rainy night. And I was on the road going to board the ferry. And it was really dark. And I was told that I was in the wrong lane. So I rolled down my window, and the ferry guy like super went off on me, yelled. It was like really shocking. And I could see in that moment, sometimes like boundary moments are sort of like a car crash, right? It's like things flash before you, and you really see this before and after. And in that moment, and I think this is like that developmental, I should have some boundaries moment, of like, in that moment, I saw my old self, and I just would have rolled up the window and been like, and gotten in my lane and been so offended. And I probably would have obsessively looped about it for at least a day.
Uh-huh.
And on the whole ferry ride, I would have obsessed about what I should have done. And we all know that feeling of like, I should have said this. And my experience with myself and with most people who have those kind of retroactive should have moments is like, it's not about going back and wishing we would have told somebody off. It's not about, I wish I would have been mean back. It's that I just wish I would have been myself.
Right.
We don't even, and even in that moment, it's not even about wanting a result. I just wish I would have expressed myself. But something got me in that night. Maybe it was the moonlight. And I rolled my window back down, and I sort of stood up for myself and just like declared reality. I was like, hey, it's dark and it's rainy, and those lines on the road, you can barely see them. So you don't need to yell at me, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, chill. And my experiences of those moments, those defining moments, are like, this is what I want to make clear. It's never about being pushy back. It's just about like loving self-expression. And the look on his face, because it wasn't, I mean, I think he was a little surprised that I back, but also I could see him register. She's right. It's dark. It's rainy. So this is what I want to add to the experience. The maple syrup on this. That's a little Canadian nod. You see what I did there, everybody? Toronto and Ottawa.
Yeah.
Is that I think when we lovingly express ourselves, it actually is a gift to somebody else. Like I taught him. I would like to think, maybe this is me being too righteous. I would like to think he was kinder to the next person.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe he went and got the stripes on the road repainted so people could see them. And maybe he got the light fixed, the overhead light. Like who knows what little revolution. And this is really maybe a little bit cheesy. I felt like a woman instead of a girl.
You know what, though? That's not at all cheesy, because when you think about what happens to us when we freeze, when we suddenly become afraid of an authority figure or someone being hostile towards us, a lot of us literally turn into our childhood selves with that punitive or explosive parent or whatever. So you being able to hold your own in that moment and just honestly say what was happening for you, again, not overly making the person wrong, not making it a personal thing, being seen. Part of it is the self-respect and the self-love that comes from acknowledging that you are worthy of being seen. That was your experience. That person was more aggressive than he needed to be, according to you. Set up to fail because it wasn't clear. And just saying, hey, not necessary, not cool, relax. In just doing that, you are the adult, you are the woman, you are the person who can take care of the little one inside of you, because you're not going to be pushed around.
Can you talk about what happens to us physiologically, psychologically, there's that scramble,
Mhm.
there's that inner panic. Is it this, the fight or flight freeze thing where we just don't say, oh, hold the door for me, or I'm coming, or
Yeah.
I wasn't late. You know,
Mhm.
what is that?
It is feeling threatened. So you're right to say, is it the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn sometimes?
Mm,
That's part of it, but we're also very conditioned. Even if you didn't feel threatened to the point of having that physiological response,
mm,
we're so used to just making a note of the crappy thing. We're like, it's
mm,
filing in Bob's an asshole file right there. I got that. I'll
mhm,
remember that next time. But it's
mhm,
almost like there's habituated response to not being vocal or to not doing it early and often, not doing it when we feel it, when we think it. And part of this process of becoming a boundary boss, like actually mastering this skill, is that it becomes not threatening. And in fact, it
mhm. It
gets
does.
to the point where you can't not do it. Like you feel burdened in a conscious way by abandoning yourself,
Mhm,
the way that we used to feel burdened by having to speak up.
mhm. What have you got to say about timing? Like we all know, don't send the email when you're angry. Do not back away from the keyboard. Um, what have you got to say about timing and just cool and center? Yeah.
Part of it is why in the book itself there's so much about self-care and meditation and breathing and this whole internal sacred space. Why do I ask you to make a zen den? External sacred space to remind you to tend to your internal sacred space,
Mhm,
because this is what gets us out of the reactionary mode to everything. And there
mhm,
are people who will walk through life forever till the end of time doing nothing but reacting to stimuli, having
mhm,
regrets about what they say, not backing away from the keyboard, sending, having to apologize or not apologize or justify or make the other person wrong. And it's like this space gives you 2 seconds of additional response time. And you can choose to not send the email. You can choose to be compassionate instead of judgmental. Like, but we need that space because if not, it's all just this. We're just punching as opposed to you may still punch, but you want to make sure that it's a mindful punch. You may still be mad enough to be like, but I want to say that thing. Okay. If it's mindful and it's a choice and it's not a compulsion, then it's
mhm,
right on. Do your thing.
mhm. I want to honor that Gail Larson is in the house.
Hi, Gail Larson. She's our both of our speaking coach. If you guys want to speak,
Mhm,
you could. Gail Larson's the person we went to. Danielle told me about her.
mhm, mhm. I consider her an elder. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Um, I
Yeah.
want to say something about the inner sacred place. Um, so I just was just before we got on, got an email from somebody like super reactive, like not good. They're acting out. They're acting out. They're just anybody can see they're acting out. You
Mhm.
know, I'm not laying judgment on it. And um, if I hadn't been doing, I don't even want to call it work, but doing the practice that I do,
Mhm.
like I have to sit every morning like I brush my teeth every morning. I would not have been able to like say to myself, wow, she's stressed. She's got someone in her life that's fighting for their life. And I could just like take a breath. It doesn't mean the behavior's okay, but it means I can be okay with it. And the more you have, the more you can keep going back to that sacred space. I
Mhm.
tell you, even your responses, because this, I know this for myself, and especially with, you've said like, the people we work with and are of service to, like all these, so many of us, we got our stuff together. We're leading families and businesses and communities and all of this. We know what's right and wrong. We know what ethics are and immorality is and all of that. And when you're up here with logic,
Mhm.
your boundaries might want to say, I could make these 10 points. You don't have to make the 10 points.
Mhm.
You don't, more sacred space means less hooks And
Yeah.
I think we're all bright enough to reread the email and go, that was a little jab. That was a little jab. That was a little jab.
Mhm.
You can have healthy boundaries without any jabs and just say, this is how I see reality.
Right.
That's it. No hook.
But the
Yeah.
understanding though, PSD, that is compassion. That is love, because when we're not in a reactionary state ourselves, when the child in us isn't saying this is a fight for your life, it's a luxury. When we're not afraid, we don't feel victimized in some way by, when you're a boundary disaster, everything that people ask of you and ask you to do, it's like it carries the weight of a life sentence if you can't say no, right? You're like, ugh. And because we don't have the inner ability to just go, hey, not for me, or I can't do it now, or whatever. I remember in my 20s, I used to be so like focused on like what a jerk Betty was for asking. Like I was really all in the judgment of like how entitled and everyone else was raised wrong, and everyone's greedy and selfish and jerks.
In a barn. Yeah.
Exactly. And the compassion, when I can say no, or when I can tell the truth about how I feel or what I experienced, I don't feel super put upon, because it's as if we don't have any, I don't want to say weapons, but defenses, like healthy defenses, when we have no idea how to.
Inner support
Yes.
system. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's internal boundaries too, D. It really is. It's about, am I going to abandon myself in the service of keeping the peace? Because that's what it is. And the thing is, you can do that. I did it for a long time. You can do it for a long time, but you literally can't do it forever. You can't. You'll get sick. You alienate people. Then you end up just friggin' hating everyone, where you're just like, everyone's a selfish jerk, So I think that there's so much expansion and liberation, hence the subtitle of the book, when we have this ability, because we don't feel victimized. We feel very confident in being able to say, oh my God, thank you for thinking of me. I actually can't. Or maybe, or I want to think about it. Or, hey, I'll let you know tomorrow or next week. Well, I need to know right now. Well, then it's a no. Because if you need to know right now, that's my answer, because it needs to be. I don't make any instant decisions. It's just not how I do it. So I hope you guys have fun or whatever. Like, rather than being like, I have to, that person said, I have to decide right now. Do you though? They just made that up. This is like, your reality is your reality. And instead of letting someone else's reality dictate what is yours, we just, like you said, your exact response, how I see reality, how I'm experiencing reality right now, this is it. And the way that person is seeing it doesn't, isn't more important. How I see reality for me. And it doesn't mean my mind can't be changed, or I can't see your point of view or someone else's point of view, but I'm not going to get, like in my 20s, right? I start the book saying, and I was a bridesmaid 8 times.
You
Wow.
can get a down payment on a house for that.
Oh,
All those dresses.
worst. It was a time period where every fucking dress was teal. Why? Like the worst color, the big sleeves, like just horrible. But in that moment, I couldn't dial out of their reality that we were besties. In my heart, we weren't. For 4 of them. I mean, 4 of them were actually still my same friends, but the other ones, no. So I think that's what I mean when I say being really solid in your own reality. Because how can we prioritize our own preferences, desires, limits, or deal breakers if we're constantly being sucked into, am I allowed to have that? Is that okay? This person doesn't think so,
Hey, can you talk about, tell me when we have to wrap, but can you talk about your own practice? Like, I know you've worked with David G. Like you got a thing and you're on it. Like, what's your meditation prayer? What do you do every day?
Meditation is really has been my thing, and my thing with Vic actually for 2 decades, I mean, for a long time. But that's the non-negotiable in life, that and exercise. So, and I can say, the exercise has stayed. My meditation practice has been spotty. I've been texting David G being like, I suck, help. He's like, any meditation is better than none. A shitty meditation is better than none, like trying to keep me going. But that's it. It's morning. If it's a good day, it's morning and evening. So it's right after work, though, more than evening. So first thing in the morning, get up. He says, rise, pee, meditate, right? RPM. I say, rise, pee, brush my teeth, make the coffee, heat up my corn bag, then meditate. Because I want to make sure there's coffee when I'm done. And then when I'm really stressed, wait,
I have to tell, this is how committed you are. Terry and I and some other girlfriends are in Whistler. And I was like, are you moving to Canada? Like, what's going on? So Terry travels with, see the twinkly lights behind Terry? Terry travels with a strand of twinkly lights in her suitcase. And then this corn bag or these buckwheat bags where you put them in the microwave, they heat up, and it's like those kind of pillows and candles and incense and like this altar. Just like, she's like a Zen, traveling Zen den. So like real commitment. So I thought it was like beautiful self-care. Yeah, I have a little altar, but yeah.
Hi, Yasmin. How you doing? All right, you're muted. Don't worry. And actually, kill your vid, and I'll so that we don't. Here you go. You can kill your video until it's your time. But thanks for coming early. I appreciate it. The self-care on the go stuff, though, that we were talking about, I think that it's very easy when you're traveling and when you're not traveling, like we've all been like stuck in our homes, to just not do it, right? To just not do it, to not care, to not do it. And I really think for me, I would have lost my shit altogether in this past year if I hadn't had that and gotten back into therapy regularly and all the things that I needed to do to just the amount of bandwidth, I guess I'm saying, the amount of, we're just talking about David G. He's here too. My God, it's a party. That's cool. These guys are coming to like be at the party too. And anyway, what I was saying is that the amount of bandwidth that the whole thing took was more than I felt like I had to not just abandon the book and just want to do the mother thing the whole time. I just want to just move in with her. My other sister did, so I didn't while she was in treatment. But I think that probably that's the hardest thing that I've ever done in my entire life when it comes to internal boundaries. But you got a deadline. What are you going to do? Like I had to actually finish the book. Thank God for Suzanne, who was collaborating with me, or I would have lost my mind altogether. But anyway,
you're a portable sacred space. Yeah. And you talk about it lots in the book, which is beautiful. Yeah.
I do. In fact, I think I'm going to make, I have this whole idea for a product that I've had. Like I literally have it. I bought all the things. Zen Den on the go. You can have a little bag, Zen Den of your own that you can bring everywhere.
Bag and twinkle. Yeah.
I love it.
That sounds good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Giving you hugs and kisses from Vancouver.
Thank you for coming. I love you.
I love you. Bye. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
All right. I'm going to, Cheyenne, you're up next. Hold on. So someone will put your video on. I'm going to ask to unmute you. Yay. Hold on. That was so fun. Can I hear you?
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
Hi, Yasmin, how you doing? I'm so happy you came to our launch party. How you doing?
Yes, I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to talk about all the things.
Well, you're like a sister in boundaries, where there's so much of our work. We've kind of just recently discovered each other's work in the past. At least I've discovered yours in the last year. And we were really connected through Selena Sue. Is that how?
Yeah, through Selena.
Right. But I had already been kind of following what was going on with you. And I'm just going to quick tell this story, which I told on the podcast, but there was something that was so beautiful. You were scheduled to be on, it was the Today Show. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Yasmin, I mean, this is like a huge break. Like literally you're telling all the friggin' people in all the places that you're going to, I mean, I would be like, so exciting. Awesome. So she goes on and there's a technical problem and we can't hear you. And I saw the whole clip and I was like, oh my God. And then they had to go. What are you gonna do? Like there was a problem with it. And then the next day, so do you take it from here?
Yeah. Oh
So
my gosh. So the next day, I did nothing, honestly, but the day after, I really decided that I wanted to, talk to my community about what happened in a way that was true to what was happening for me, which was, this doesn't have to be like the thing that ends me. This could be something that is an opportunity for me to grow from and learn a lot from, not necessarily like, oh, everything has a lesson, but like, this was a real thing that happened on live TV. And it's an opportunity for me to learn how to love myself through some really tough stuff. And disappointment is real, and not everything always goes the way you want it to go. And so I shared that with my community, and they saw it and invited me back on for a solo segment for 5 minutes, which I was not getting before. And it just goes to show, it's just to talk about how I walked myself through that, but also how other people could do it, because I think we're all dealing with a lot of disappointment in different ways all the time. So yeah, it was a whirlwind experience.
but what blew my mind and what that really got me so interested in what you were doing is that to do what you did requires a certain amount of internal boundaries. And I was like, this
Mm-hmm.
chick is a boundary boss. Like, she turned that shit around in 36 hours. And again, not in a fake way, not in a like
Right.
a this is amazing, in a way of this is real.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what resiliency looks like. You weren't saying that. I was
Mm-hmm.
experiencing that from your share, because you were totally honest about being disappointed. But the fact that they came back and that you ended up with a solo segment, which is really, it's a big deal on
It's
a show
huge.
like that, you know? So anyway, I just wanted to let, if people are not familiar with you in, all the folks who are here, how we got to know each other. And I
Mm-hmm.
want to know if you would share with us, like a boundary challenge. I mean, that was one, but in your life, because you're really turned on to teach about, share about
Mm-hmm.
the power of healthy boundaries. So can you tell me in your life some pivotal boundary moment, something that made you either want to get into it or where you did or didn't, you know?
Yeah, I think the biggest boundary pivotal shift that I had was learning that people were going to be uncomfortable with my boundaries, and that was okay. The hardest thing about boundaries, and you talk about it in the book, but the hardest thing about boundaries is when you start to put them in place. And for some reason, there's this part of us that's like, everyone's going to be so happy that I'm like living my life with integrity now, and that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing for myself. That's not really how it works all the time. There's a lot of people that are in relationship with you because you don't have boundaries. And there's a lot of people that are in relationship with you based on the person that you were showing up as. And when you start showing up as a version of yourself that says, no, like this isn't going to work, or can we compromise? People start to say, oh, you're changing, or things are shifting. And it took a lot for me to stand in the fact that boundaries were going to create space for me to be myself and to honor what I needed, and that it may not always be what other people need from me, and that's okay. I can love them still,
Mm-hmm.
but my priorities come first. And that was a game changing for me. It still is to this day. And I think it's important to know too for people that like, it's still something that I'm uncomfortable with sometimes, in knowing how this might change somebody else's um, relationship with me. And that's also not my responsibility to take on how they are going to react. That's another boundary to my boundaries, So yeah.
So how do you find the people in your life? Because usually when you first start asserting yourself boundary wise in places where you weren't, there's pushback. Dr. Harriet Lerner talks about people like rocking the change back move, where they
Mm-hmm.
might up the ante and get really pissed or really hysterical or say things that they wouldn't normally say, because they're
Mm-hmm.
really trying to be like, wow, I'm super uncomfortable that you're changing the dance. Please stop changing the dance. But since you've been doing this now for a while, do you find that you've sort of fallen into the new boundary dance with the people in your life? Like, are there some people that didn't make it? I mean, we could talk about that because that's real
Yeah,
too.
that's real. There's definitely people who didn't make it. I always tell people, when you start putting boundaries in place, you're going to most likely lose people, not because we have to let people go, but because people, again, sometimes are not willing to be in relationship with you based on your own rules. They want to be in relationship with you based on how they get to control things. And so being willing to potentially lose some relationships, unfortunately, is a part of the process. But I think recognizing now for myself, the people that I am in relationship with, I still have to have those uncomfortable, tough boundary conversations, and understanding that there is room for compromise sometimes. And then sometimes there just isn't. Sometimes it's just like, this is a no. And I think the biggest thing for me that I practice now, which again took me a long time to get to this place, but saying no as soon as possible, not giving myself a chance to say yes and then have to change my mind and, oh, well, let me think about it. It's like, if I know that it's no, I'm going to say it right now and I'm going to tell you why. And I think they need to get used to hearing you say no. That's the thing that can be so uncomfortable in relationships. They're so used to, sure, why not? Or I'll be there, or you can always count on me. Mm-hmm. If I'm your friend, I love you. And you cannot always count on me because I don't know if I'll actually be able to be there for you in the way that you need me to. And I think real honesty in that is something that is so much more transparent and compassionate to the relationship and them and ourselves than the false reality of a real family member. You'll always do whatever I need you to do. It's unrealistic. And it really puts us on a pedestal. Put ourselves on a pedestal, and then other people put us there as well.
Here's the thing about the pedestal though, right? So if you look at like, family systems and, where you are, some people are the hero child. There's an expectation that you will always do what needs to be done. And when you give up that role in life, in my own experience, you have to be willing to just not be like, that we're getting something out of being that people pleaser or that savior or the one that everyone comes to, and to give it up, you will definitely, yes, but it was worth the gain. That's what Kim was saying. I definitely lost people in my life when I finally said no, but it was worth it to gain myself, said Kim, which is absolutely beautiful and correct, right? That's accurate. But I always look in first and go, okay, well, there's some secondary gain. Maybe it's not obvious, but I'm getting something out of being the friend that fixes all the things that everyone can come to no matter what. Yeah. And at what cost? So I think what we're really talking about when you really start to master boundaries and just exercise them. You don't even have to master them and be perfect. It's just knowing that saying yes instantly gets you into situations that you want to reverse, and it makes it hard to reverse. I always say, and in the book, I teach it like, if you are an insta yes person, let's just start with buying time. Let's just start with stopping the insta yes. And I give, a bunch of scripts, super easy. Like, hey, I'll get back to you on that. I need to check with my person, my roommate, my dog. I don't know. Like, just I'll get back. Or how about just maybe? How about I want to think about it? And that's another thing where if you had very porous boundaries, more of like a people pleaser, a chameleon, a peacekeeper type, even saying, I want to think about it, you might have people in your life be like, when did you get so fancy?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. People are always like, oh, you've changed. This doesn't seem like you. Are you okay? You start questioning yourself, like, am I okay? Am I changing? It's normal to change and to grow. And it's normal to, to want time for yourself. I think it's so interesting how much we've been programmed to not have time or not to prioritize our own needs. And boundaries is the unprogramming, especially if you're with a strong person or the hero or if you struggle with being a recovering perfectionist, any of those kinds of things, you're unprogramming all of the things that you were taught meant you were good and that you were loving and that you would be accepted. You should be you should be able to be in relationships where you are loved and accepted with your no. And that's the goal.
Yeah. And when people talk about, it's funny, people talk about unconditional love. and conditional love. And I think that there's a lot of confusion about what that means, because I think that all healthy love is conditional. And I don't mean it conditional like, do what I say or I won't love you. Not that.
Right.
But I mean conditions, like boundaried love, right? Like we have agreements of how we're going to interact, what is acceptable. Are we monogamous? Are we not? So when people are like, real love needs no boundaries, I'm all like, no, that's inaccurate.
Right. It's so true. And I think the fairy tale, like just the whimsical nature of the way that we're taught about romantic relationships, even platonic relationships and familial relationships for that matter, all relationships, we're taught that they should be easy and breezy. And if there's any, we confuse uncomfortable conversations with drama. We confuse uncomfortable conversations with toxicity. There's going to be uncomfortable conversations in any of your relationships, actually healthy relationships. One of the things that you have in them is sometimes uncomfortable conversations. Boundaryless relationships, in my experience, often are absent of these kinds of conversations. It's a lot of keeping the peace. It's a lot of silence. There's a lot of really hiding your true emotions and feelings. And in the book, I think, highlighting those things for people so that they understand that this is a normal experience. This is like, I think that that's what this book is going to give people, that they like wouldn't have really understood that this is normal to have these kind of emotions come up when setting boundaries. Yeah.
And it deepens the intimacy in the relationship. Like when we are, so many of my clients would confuse compliance with compatibility, And I'm like, no, compatibility requires two people and like collaboration, right? When we're compatible, we're cooperating, maybe we like the same things and that's great, but we're working to care what I care, what your needs are, you care what my needs are. We make those exceptions, whatever. Clients would come in and say, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm in the perfect relationship. That's already a red flag. You're like, no such thing. But then going on to say, I'm in this relationship with this person. We never ever fight, but I feel unhappy. I feel unsatisfied or whatever. And I'm like, listen, let's just not confuse never ever fighting with effective communication, actually knowing each other, right? It just means you have been, because so many of us, the whole avoiding conflict is so prevalent, especially for women, right? I mean, do you find this in your practice as well?
Absolutely. I think a lot of us have been taught, like, if you're not fighting, then your relationship is perfect. If you're not fighting, then you're, in a healthy relationship. To be happy is the absence of any problems, all of those different things where, life is full of those ups and downs. You really cannot avoid them. And what I think you're teaching, and I know I teach it as well, is the tools to navigate when those problems come up. Not believing that something is wrong with you or all of your relationships because problems happen, but how to deal when they come up. And having uncomfortable conversations doesn't mean that they're all difficult, but sometimes it can be uncomfortable to say no, even if you have the best boundaries. It's just, the knowing that you're going to be disappointing someone and being able to hold yourself through that.
It's so true though. Another thing I want to say is like, yes, we do it when you really get masterful, you can do it with ease and grace. But it isn't like I went from being someone who didn't like conflict to someone who like loved conflict. Like that.
Right. That's not it.
No. It's someone who couldn't tolerate conflict to someone who now can, and allow the chips to fall where they may, and realize what is, my side of the street, what is your side of the street. And there's so much codependency, so much of the time that complicates that, right? Like if I feel like I have to fix your problems and what you're doing is a reflection on me, and you know what I mean? It's like the lines are so blurred,
Yeah. And I think feeling like you have to do anything. Sometimes we're confused about what we can control in others, even in ourselves. And recognizing that boundaries, you know, like you said, sets the lines, sets the rules, so to speak,
Mhm.
and knowing what is what is within your control. Almost use the military term there. What's within your control and what's within their control, and then knowing clearly when it's off bounds. Even sometimes you think, I'm trying to help, you know, it's like, did they ask for your permission? Did you ask permission to help? Did you ask permission to give that advice? Even those little pieces where we, you know, are trying to help people without actually ensuring that they want the help that we're providing. Those are boundaries.
Or that we think we're providing. Because here's the
Or that
thing,
we think we're providing,
right?
right?
Because when we get down to it, and there's a whole chapter in the book that's all
Mm-hmm.
scripts about this. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
what is really happening? And I think this really shifted it for me, because I was without a doubt just an auto advice giver, like,
Mm-hmm.
for all of my 20s, for sure, maybe into my 30s even, I don't know, because I just was like, ooh, I know, I
Right.
know the thing you should do. I don't want you to suffer. In doing that, though, it's like we are literally removing, like, getting in the
Mm-hmm.
way of the person figuring out what it is they need to figure out. And having a therapist who really made me see that at some point when I was sharing this situation with her, and she was like, what makes you think that you know what that
Mm-hmm.
person needs to learn in this life, Tara? You know? And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I think we can agree they don't need to do it in this self-destructive way. And she's like, no, I don't know. I don't know what they need to learn.
Right.
But then she went on to say, what's really happening is that their pain, you've worked hard to create internal peace, a pretty harmonious life. Their
Mm-hmm.
pain, or their life that you think is out of control, is really messing with your peace. So
Mm-hmm.
what you'd really like is for them to get their shit together so that your peace can be restored.
Right.
I was
So
like,
true.
yep. That,
Yeah.
right. And when you
Yeah.
put it in that way, it changes it from, I used to think of
Mm.
myself as like, I'm just such a lover, me, just Mother Teresa. And then suddenly you're like, oh, that was really driven by me, A, thinking I knew better than the other person, and B,
Mm-hmm.
wanting my pain. Yes, exactly, Loretta, cramping my bliss.
My bliss.
Please stop cramping my bliss. That would be amazing if you would please stop.
Yeah.
But once you get that, and I just felt the relief of not being responsible, because I was always confused about what my responsibility was because I was such
Mm.
codependent, that I was like, wait, so I'm not a jerk if I don't do that? Like,
Right.
I'm not a rotten friend. I'm not a mean person. My therapist was like, no, and PS, it's not even possible
Mm.
for you to do it. And if you're giving people things to, like, lessen their suffering, kind of like, whether it's money, whether it's advice all day, every day, let him vent on
Mm-hmm.
you. She's like, you could really be taking away the urgency that would be propelling them towards their own answers.
Right.
I was
Because
like,
they can just wait for you
mm-hmm,
and perhaps take your advice or perhaps not. And I think it's that's a major one, because I think so many people want to help the people in their lives, or want to, and I always ask the question too, like, how could that attention or that energy be used for yourself? But
wow,
all that,
light
like, oh,
bulb.
I never have any time. I'm like, yeah, you're living everyone else's life. Which is hard. You care about people and you want to be there for the people that you care about, but really putting those boundaries in place where you don't get confused about what you actually can't control. Even if you do give advice, they don't have to follow it. And
Exactly.
being willing to give it and let it go. Even the people you love, like, let it go. Yeah.
Yes, and like you said, giving it if they ask, and even
If they
then,
ask.
if the person is someone who's always asking, the first thing I always say is, well, where are you at? Like, what do you think you should do? Like, what's your gut say?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because it's so tempting to center my expert self in their situation, but
Mm-hmm.
not my situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
And
so,
I always ask too, what would you like from me on this call? Like, do you want me to just, because I catch myself being like, oh, I know the perfect, and I just, what would you like from me gives them the opportunity to say, I don't know, I just want to talk, or I just want to, whatever it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's almost like I used to always teach when I used to have couples I used to counsel couples. I would always teach the husbands, because it was generally in heterosexual relationships that the husbands wanted to fix. The wives were like, hi,
Mm-hmm.
please stop. I just want you to listen. So I just always said, here's just this one thing. This is just what you say. How can I best support you right now, babe?
Mm-hmm.
Then stop talking
Mm-hmm.
and let her tell you. And then fucking do that thing. So all
Yeah.
the other things you're killing yourself to do, you don't need to. Oh, wait, someone just asked a question, I'm going to make the announcement. I'll talk about it more later, but someone was saying, I really wish I took Boundary Boot Camp. Well, guess what? You're in luck, because we decided usually we just open it once a year, but we're doing a special for the book Boundary Boss. So we're doing a special Boundary Boot Camp that is opening up literally. If you're interested, I think, Trace, do you want to drop the thing, or it's terrycole.com/boss. You can put your name on, and we're literally starting May 5th. So special pricing. I've never done it. I've never even raised the price in 5 years, but now we're doing it almost in half the price, because I want as many people to take it as possible. Special pricing for alumni. So you guys, if you're interested, not to interrupt Yasmin, I just want to get it while they were saying it, go to terrycole.com/boss. It is really the Boundary Boss special edition, as I've reorganized, reshot all the things. Like, yeah, I was doing that while I was doing this, because, there's plenty of time. Not, my voice is just shot. But anyway, yes, I want to say thank you so much for coming in and sharing your beauty, your light, your wisdom. I super appreciate you. Where can people find you? I mean, we're going to put all this in the notes, because we're going to be sending this replay out. But you're on Instagram? Is that your main hangout?
Yeah, Instagram's my main hangout, Yasmin Cheyenne. And yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank
you.
you. Thank
To
you
be
for having
continued.
me.
Feel free to stay. Feel free to go. Someone on my team will tell you what you're doing. And you guys, what we're going to do now is a Q&A. So until our next pal hops on, which is at, I think, 8:15, Elizabeth D'Alto. So I want to say, if you got questions, let's do it, shall we? I think we shall. I'm going to try to unplug this without unplugging the thing that will disconnect us. Okay, excellent. And also, where's Vic? He was going to we were going to have a Gosling thing. Joyce, can you text Vic and see if he wants to bring in one of the babes? Or I think no, you can't text him. He's outside hammering on something. But thank you so much to Yasmin and to Danielle Laporte for coming so far. We have so many amazing guests. And this is kind of going to be an Ask Me Anything. And if I can scream to Vic, I'll tell him to get a Gosling in here. Can you guys wait one sec? Think about what you want to know. Ask me anything about the book writing, about boundaries, about life, about Crackpot Farm, about anything. Hey, babe. All right. All right, guys, I'm back. Oh, okay. All right, we got a question. I'm going to hit it. And I will ask, Tracy, will you get in touch with Vic on Facebook Messenger and just see if he'll bring in one of the babes? Thank you. He might be with the babes, which means he will not get it, but we'll see. All right, Amanda has a question. I had a situation where I tried I have a simple request, and the person got really defensive. I didn't know how to respond, so I just repeated my request. Well, here's the thing. If they got defensive, and I'd love to know, Amanda, what they said in their defensiveness, because it actually matters. If they were defensive and trying to blame you, like make you wrong, that's one thing. And I would give you one thing to say to that. If they were defensive, like, I don't get what your problem is. So if you give me that more info, then I can answer that. All right. Amanda said the second way. Oh, I don't know what your problem is. What you did then is exactly right. You restated. They said, I don't know what your problem is. You could say, hey, I'm actually telling you what I'm making the simple request that I want. You seem upset. You seem angry, but I'm going to continue to ask for what it is that I want. So back to what I was saying, I'd like to make a simple request that you X, Y, and Z, whatever the thing is that you are doing. Here's the thing about other people having a feeling about us changing. They're going to. So expect it. We can't be like super thin-skinned about it, because what you're going to see, Amanda, is that your relationships are not that fragile. And if they are, they were anyway, right? Most of them aren't, though. Even if the person's a little mad, it's the kid in us who thinks that if someone is mad, like someone's going to die. They're not. You're not. So my feeling is stay the course. And you can say, I see that you're upset, but I think it's important that I tell you how I feel. I'm making a simple request that you XYZ. They can do it, they can not do it, you know? This is different. I mean, I feel like in my relationship, there's an emotional manipulation, but I feel so brain fogged about the situation that I'm questioning my gut. Your gut is good. Emotional manipulation and predators are very real. There's a whole chapter on them in the book called Boundary Destroyers. So I understand what you're saying. They can be incredibly, if someone is a skilled emotional manipulator, it's like you're on drugs sometimes, how captivating it is, or how confusing it is, or how they can talk their way before you know it. You're like, I'm sorry. Wait, why am I apologizing? What happened? How did that happen again? You know? So I feel you is all I'm saying. All right. Hold on. Email said about gossip. My friend is doing it strongly. So how do you say about gossip? You can say, oh, come on, Betty, we got to have something better to talk about. Tell me about you. What's going on with the new job? Like, rather than, you don't have to call the person out with the gossip. You can even do it more funny and a little lighter. Like, oh, please tell me we have something better to talk about than Betty's problem with her men. Please. What is going? Last week you told me this. So you can divert it, unless it's so toxic that you have to say, hey, man, I'm on a negativity cleanse. Just saying. So no gossip for me, because it just really brings me down. Let's talk about something else. Like, that's another way that I've done it in the past. Again, if it's new to you to do it, it's going to feel a little uncomfortable, you know? Becky said, what's your best advice if dealing with a sibling that is very demanding and expects and has been her whole life? Well, here's the thing. You need to slowly but surely, she can be as demanding or entitled as she wants to be. And that doesn't have to dictate your behavior. Slowly but surely, say no. Draw the boundary. Step back. Don't get back to her right away. Like, they've trained us and we've trained them back as to what they can expect. And now just slowly but surely start to shift towards a more equitable situation, or a situation that makes you feel more comfortable. Even if they bullied you in childhood, you're not a kid anymore. It's okay to just go, no. And this is not about them at all, because you said she was like this her whole life. She may be, she may never change. That's okay, right? Because that's her side of the street. What she's bringing to your side of the street is what you have to handle, you know? And you can slowly but surely, next right action. That's it, you know? All right. So Amanda said, yeah, they ate food. Okay. Got it. Great advice for allowing the discomfort in others when we set boundaries. That has been life-changing for me. Thank you, Terry. Yay. Oh, gaslighting, says Anne. All right. So let's talk about gaslighting. Sorry, my lips are dry. 1 second. Here's the thing. If you know that someone is gaslighting you, and if you don't know what gaslighting is, it's when someone is messing with your sense of reality, where they'll say, you never said that. What are you, crazy? What? Like, it's a form of emotional manipulation where the either conscious or unconscious desire is to undermine your sense of self, your sense of reality. So the more they can do that, the more unstable you feel, the more control they'll have over you. But you have to step back. If someone says, you never said that, or I never said that, and I give you a lot of scripts in the book, in that Boundary Destroyer chapter, where you can say, well, I guess we'll have to agree to disagree, because I know what I experienced. No amount of you denying it will change that for me. But again, we're very cautious, and I say that a lot in that chapter, about who we're dealing with and about how dangerous they might be. Because in that chapter, it's about like self-absorbed people, selfish people, bossy people, manipulative people. But when we get to people who might actually be pathologically unwell, that violent, then I have lots of advice in there too for that, but you've got to know who you're dealing with before you decide how you're going to respond. That's very important for your safety, that if there is any chance you're putting yourself in harm's way by provoking this person, then don't. But that also means you need to get a safe plan to get the hell out of there, All right, Heather, I feel like I must be in little girl mode a lot. LOL. I catch myself thinking I want to be like that strong woman when I grow up. And I only recently in my early 40s is that I'm a grown ass woman. Why am I still coming at the world like a little girl? Because there's a part of you that still feels like a little girl, Heather. There's nothing wrong with that. And your awareness is amazing and beautiful. And that's what's going to change it. Tending to the child within, and I walk you through this in the book, is really important. What it means is that there's a part of you that is still stuck at those different phases of development, where you either were injured, where you were hurt. And so much self-care and so much inner child consideration is incredibly important when it comes to embodying your grown-up self, knowing when you're having a transference, right? Now is not then. And I teach you that in the book as well, so that you can be like, okay, wait, I just was, transported back to when I was 8 and I was relating to this person as my scary father. But now I'm back and I'm a grown woman and this person is not my father. So there's all of these ways, rather than just staying afraid of those people, that we can really decode through what I'm teaching you in the book, how to be in the here and now, how to be empowered, and how to not have those unresolved childhood injuries driving your current life, because we don't want that. All right. Jamie said, Terry, in all my work with you and my love of your book, the one piece I need support around is setting boundaries in my current pandemic parenting life. Oh, I feel you, Jamie. I need a break from my family. Any tips for navigating this skillfully and sensitively while still establishing boundaries for my personal time? Yes, Jamie. Yes. Jamie is my editor, by the way, from Sounds True. I think that one of the main things, especially because we're still in close quarters, is really we have to have a family meeting and we have to have rules of engagement. And part of the family meeting and rules of engagement have to include absolute alone time for you, if that's what you need. And we all need that. So you can have areas of the house that are off limits. You make little signs. You could do it with your daughter. It's like we can have fun doing this, where we have signs where it's like, hi, genius at work, don't knock, when you're busy, so that we are communicating effectively with the other humans that we're cohabitating with, and where there's like a mutual respect. And then make a plan. If you're near your folks and they can help, make a plan to go away without your husband, to go with girlfriends, maybe, even if it's just an overnight, even if it's just a day trip, even if it's just going alone, like literally going to a hotel, going to an Airbnb, going to a friend's place if they're not there, to spend 24 hours alone. You would be shocked at what that amount of time, when you're a mom, when you're a busy, you've got a busy, big career, it's exhausting. We all have parents and kids and other people who need something, not to mention careers. So part of it is building it in and really getting in touch with the part of yourself that feels guilty or bad about it. Knowing that, the better we take care of ourselves in a real way, like what Jamie's talking about, is like filling up our own buckets, the less short-tempered, the less angry. Like I just find if I don't have enough time, I just feel like suddenly I wake up and everyone's an idiot. Anyone else have this experience? Where you're just like, how is it possible? Every person in my life is just an idiot. That's all I'm saying. Everyone doesn't know what's going on. And I find myself becoming petty, which I really dislike. Oh my God, so much. I know I'm exhausted though. When I'm being like a petty micromanager, then I'm like, all right, you need sleep. You need a break. You need to be done with this book launch. You need something. So I hope that was helpful, Jane. All right. Here we go. Bet says, my job changed because of COVID. I'm working much closer now with a boundary bully at my office. I'm learning a new process. She's teaching me, but she is constantly contacting me on a website called Slack to do certain tasks while I'm trying to work. It's interruptive and disrupts my attention. I want to bring this to her attention that this constant pulling up my sleeve is not working for me. What do I do? Okay. So I think you can say, hey, I would love to have a conversation with you about batching my work. So for me, I'm most productive if I can work straight from 9 to 3, taking my break in between. And then anything, unless it's an urgent, unless it's an emergency, time sensitive, something we didn't think of, that everything you send me throughout the day, I will get and respond to between 3 and 3:30 or something like that. So I would just call it batching my work because it's more effective. I hope that helped. Kira said, being called selfish used to be my kryptonite. What advice do you have for when others call us selfish when we're setting boundaries? You can say, hey, you seem upset, but I'm really clear about what my rights are and really what my obligation is, and taking care of myself in this situation and asking for what I want. That is my job. So I'm sorry if you feel that it's selfish. I disagree with you. I feel like it's self-care for me, but I hear what you're saying, and I will still make the simple request that you not call me after 10 p.m. or whatever the request was, Kira. Maybe that was helpful. Solange said, what do you do when your neighbor who does whatever he wants tried to talk to him today to find out what he was up to, and it became very violent? He charged on me when he realized I was filming because I was scared. He grabbed my phone and was very verbally abusive and threw my phone away. I called 911 and I'm pressing charges. What else can I do? Solange, I would stay the hell away from that guy. I would actually wait, are you bringing duck? Or who do you have?
No ducks, please.
Oh, look, don't let that goose. You guys, hold on. We're taking a quick break. Hi, this is Victor. Come on in, baby.
Hi.
Hi.
She'll poop on the chair. in
She
2 seconds.
better not be pooping anywhere. Hi, honey. But you guys, look how cute. These are going to be, this is one of our guard geese, and we have 3 of them. Hi, honey. Hello. All right. Well, thanks for coming to the party. I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Oh,
She crapped on your shirt already?
Not yet.
Thanks, honey. Bring in a chicken later too, would you?
Okay. That's what you do.
Okay. Sorry about that. Anyway, you involve the authorities, Solange. That's what I would do. And I would stay as far away from that person as possible. Mary says, Terry, how does self-talk play into all of this? Well, there's an awareness that we have about self-talk. And I walk you through it. We deal with affirmations. There's a whole thing that we do in the book, because self-talk is super important, where, especially when we have these burgeoning boundary skills, that we can't have to be perfect. Like we literally can't. So we have to have affirmations that are like, you're doing a good job. You're getting better and better at this. Just stand your ground. It's okay. I'm allowed to make a decision that other people don't like. That doesn't mean abort the mission, right? That means I made a decision that other people don't like, and I'm not that fragile. So I think self-talk is really important. Oh my God, someone said, oh my God, when you said Gosling, I thought it was a metaphor for something. No, it's an actual Gosling. They're so friggin' cute, you guys. I can't. Mary said, I had a higher up say I was overvaluing myself. It triggered so much discomfort, but eventually realized it was about her and not me. Yeah, I think that's an amazing realization, Mare, to have, where you're like, it's literally the equivalent of being like, you got a big head. Like, you allowed yourself, you feel way too good about yourself for my liking. Well, who asked you, you know? Yes, Mary, guard geese. So the animals that you just saw, that little baby gosling, we have 3 of them, and we got 10 chicks. I think Vic might bring in one of the chicks to show you. So they're all still like, they're little, like they're not outside yet. I mean, and Vic handmade houses for them. It's insane. Of course, it started out like it's going to be this small little thing, and now it's like a barnyard. Like I'm anyone old enough to remember the show Green Acres? Because hi, that's my life. Like I'm literally Eva Gabor right now in Green Acres, where Vic is the gentleman farmer, and I'm like in my ball gown, being like, "How did I end up on a farm? Anybody help?" So anyway, the instead of getting at dogs, we ended up getting guard geese. So they will imprint with the chicks, and they will take care of them and hopefully make sure nobody eats them. I hope that's what happens. All right, so we got some questions coming in actually on YouTube as well. All right, there was a question. Hold on, I have another document that I'm grabbing. Hold on. Oh, Beth says, thank you, Terry. Your work has changed my life. So grateful for you in the in the boundary boot camp class and the book. Yay, Betty in NYC. I know you. All right. So hopeful. Barbara said, I used to tell my family the key to a great life was keeping mom's mental health the priority. It worked, set plenty of limits that way. It's so true. Like when people, you'll hear that phrase, which I don't know if I love it or don't love it, where it's like, if mama ain't happy, nobody's happy, basically in a family. It's really, if mama ain't healthy, nobody's happy. Because I agree with you. That is what it's really about. But the reality is, if you are the maternal impactor in a family system, it's on us to take responsibility for being healthy. And what I was saying when Danielle was on is that it was writing this book during this time, having this experience required so much boundary strength because it was these conflicting values. One value, keep my word. I have a contract to finish this book at a certain time. And I know Sounds True has been amazing and I love them. And of course they would have extended it if I had to, because my mom was not well. But I didn't want to. I wanted to do what I said I was going to do. And so it required me to, first of all, be so grateful that I have 3 amazing older sisters, and everyone was pitching in. My sister Kim quit her job, moved in with my mom while she was doing treatment. My sister Kathy and everyone was doing their part. And then after my mom was done with the active treatment, she came and moved in with Vic and I for like 3.5 months because she was not well. She'd lost all this weight and she really couldn't live on her own. We loved having her here, honestly. But my attention was torn, where I wanted to just have it only be about my mother. Like I was obsessively researching, obsessively going in Facebook groups. I joined every anal cancer Facebook group known to mankind, talking to all the people, the case studies, the doctors, the what's new, the how to avoid the mouth sores and all the things, And yet I couldn't do that all the time because I had to have a writing schedule. And thank God I had a collaborator, Suzanne Gillette, who is so, I don't know, Suze, if you're here, but so amazing because I'm such an extrovert doing this all by myself, like in a dark room. Hi, Suze. Can Suzanne come on for a minute? I don't know if you can. I think I gave you the wrong link, but anyway, I love you. This is her down here, you guys. That's how you spell her name. If you're looking for anyone for anything, she's a beautiful, amazing author in her own right, and just really helped get the book out of me. And our experience was this. She came up here. We were doing like a planning weekend thing. We had to regroup because we'd been doing it differently, where I was producing all of this and then she was coming back. And I was like, no, I have carpal tunnel. I need help, whatever. I was also depressed and losing my mind. And then it was like the heat of the pandemic started, and she lived in Queens, New York. And I was like, dude, you can't like go into like the petri dish that is Queens right now. It's like Corona Central. Why don't you just stay here with us? Let's just do it. And she literally moved in with me. And like, I don't know, we were here for like 10 weeks, something. It was amazing. I mean, absolutely magical. It was so, it was just meant to be. Not that, I mean, listen, coronavirus, I can't say that was meant to be, but for us, it created all of this expansion to be able to do it. And thank God for Vic, because then he was here taking care of both of us and cooking and doing all the things. So we were like, we get to just brainstorm and write this fucking thing. Like, that's it. Yay. So anyway, I just wanted to share that because someone had asked, like, what was the experience like itself? And since I never wrote a book before, although I'd written many other things, I didn't realize how different writing a book was going to be. Wait, is a chicken coming? Is it Alice?
No, it's not Alice. I don't-
Okay. Yes, Jamie said, and we wrote it in record time. We did. Oh my God, you guys. Hi. Please look at this little face. Here, can she go closer to the thing? There's the. Hi. Yay, Boundary Boss book. Woo. Oh, bye, honey. All right, thanks, babe. The chickens made an appearance. The geese made an appearance. So cute. Farm living is a life for me. Oh, Deli, you're funny. They're so cute. Okay, I need these two. They're just, right? Gaylinda, that is correct. Mary, there's something about, I always resisted having animals, like real animals, because Vic comes from farmers. He's Hungarian. I mean, he's not a farmer, but like his ancestors, right? Both of his parents' families. So he's got huge organic gardens here, like massive, and billions of berry bushes and all the things, right? And he does it all himself. I mean, I help a little bit, honestly, not that much. And he always wanted to get animals. And I think the pandemic, just like being home so much, because you guys, I was supposed to be on a book tour all over the world right now. You know that? I was going to go to fucking Australia for 3 cities. I was doing Europe. We were doing a bunch of cities in the US. Like, so the exciting thing, besides that, now we're going to have eggs and chickens and guard geese, is that what I decided to do, because I didn't end up going on this world tour, that's how I was able to make the offering that we're making tonight for Boundary Bootcamp, because I wouldn't have done it if I couldn't have reshot it and configured the whole thing. So since I'm not going to be seeing you in your hometown, I could be seeing you for the next 2 months. We start May 5th. So if that is interesting to you, you just joined already and you're the best. People are joining. Yay. Go to terrycole.com/boss. But I want to tell you about the special pricing, because this was, we do it once a year. I've been doing it for 5 years. Every year we change it. We do surveys. You guys know, if you've done it, if you're an alumni, you know, we are very hands-on, and I'm very into it, right? Live calls. This is not a do-it-yourself experience. This is literally you being like, I want Terry to walk me through this process of becoming a boundary boss. That's basically what this is going to be. So the pricing is normally $800, $797. And I've literally never sold it, I don't think, for less than that, unless there was some special circumstance someone had. We are selling it for $497. That's the pay in full, or we're doing a long payment plan. And that is 6 payments of $89. So that's what we're doing. I just wanted to tell you, because so many of you said, I want to do it now. I'm amped. I got the book now. I want to do it now. So if you're interested, terrycole.com/boss. You'll be getting emails about it. Don't you worry. But I would love, love, love to have you join. If you're an alumni, we have a special alumni price as well, which is lower than it was last year too. What is it, Trace? 197 or 297? I don't know. But it's something. And we're also doing a payment plan for alumni. Oh, good. Solange will be there for sure. Well, I'm happy. I just wanted to break. Oh, yeah. And Kira, thank you for putting it up there. terrycole.com/boss. What are the times? Well, we have people from all over the world. So usually the call times that I've done in the past, what are the times? I don't think we've decided yet. It's usually 3 o'clock or 1 o'clock Eastern time. But we've had many people, with people in Australia who almost can never be on live. And, they do not have a problem. You can still ask questions and whatever. So, and I think we're starting on that Wednesday, maybe. Yep. Okay, 12. Oh, look, Joyce knows. I guess there is a time. Oh my God. Look at the name. Hi, Elizabeth D'Alto, my friend.
Ha!
How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm so happy. So you guys, if you don't know Elizabeth D'Alto, many of you do. Who here knows Elizabeth D'Alto? Who here knows me because of Elizabeth D'Alto is a better question.
Probably so.
I bet you do. Anyway, Elizabeth is an embodiment expert, a very close friend of mine for many years. She's a coach, she's a teacher, she runs groups, she's got offerings, but she's a mother effing boundary boss. So, and actually, Elizabeth is in the book because you guys, if you've read it, I give the example, the Elizabeth I'm talking about in the book where I asked if she wanted to go to Guatemala with me on something that I was doing with Deb Kern. And she was like, nah, hate Guatemala, hate hot weather. Have a good time. Bye. Like, never was there a second of hesitation. So, Elizabeth D'Alto, you can trust her no, you can trust her yes. And that means she is a trustworthy friend that I don't have to expend a shit ton of bandwidth on. Being like, I hope you don't think, and everything's okay.
No.
Whatever you got to say, you just can say it. And the same from me to you. And I super love that about our friendship. It's why we can be the
So
friend,
great.
you know?
Yes.
So hi, welcome to the party. You missed the Gosling. Were you here? You missed the chicken. Vic brought him
I
in.
missed it
Had chickens and Goslings.
in the party. Amazing. I missed Vic.
Oh, he'll be back. I imagine he's coming in and out because usually he has to be like silent. He's looking
Right.
in. Can I come in? I was like, no, you're bringing the chicken. Come on in.
Vic is the best.
He-
Oh, so what are we doing here? I was just reviewing my email from Joyce, and I was racking. I know there's a part where I get to like share a story, and I'm like, I have so many, but I picked one that I think you're really going to enjoy.
I'm going to have you start with that.
Okay, great. So it's funny now. It's one of those funny, almost 6 years later, almost 5 years later stories, not funny at the time. So Terry and I overlapped in traveling through Barcelona in September of 2016. And we go to this place. I forget the name of it, but the food was amazing.
Mhm.
And I was on the tail end of my relationship with my ex, who was extremely narcissistic. And Terry had been around us like 2 or 3 times before that. And so in her brilliance, she had been, witnessing what was going down. And as a boundaried person as well, hadn't like called me out, how your friends aren't ready to hear a thing or do a thing until they're ready. And so, it's not like Terry had pulled me aside to be like, hey, yo, your boyfriend's probably a friggin' narcissist and this is not good for you. But as soon as it was over, she was like, we're gonna talk about this because you're never doing this again. And then proceeded to change my life. But we're sitting in this restaurant. Terry was with her friend who was helping her produce the first Real Love Revolution, right?
Mhm.
Was that the first round of Real Love Revolution?
Yep.
And, we're sitting there and my ex, he had a specific religious trauma background thing going on that he just like relished. If anyone's ever been in a relationship with a narcissist, anytime they can draw the attention to themselves and like be the victim and make people feel bad for them and whatever. And so here he was like telling his story that I've heard for like the millionth mother friggin' time. But so that's like the background, but the actual story was that I want to tell you all is like months later when we were like unpacking, Terry was like, let me give you an example. Like your entire expression and all of your energy shifted when he went into that freaking story again. You were just so over it and like you knew. So one of the things that I've always appreciated so much about Terry, and obviously like you're a trained licensed psychotherapist, so you're pretty good at doing this, it's just like pointing someone to those moments when like they know something that they know, like but for whatever reason you were afraid or you didn't want to take the action or do whatever. So it's it's like a story within a story, right? Like
Mhm.
being there and you like watching and just being a great friend and being like, someday we'll be on the other side of this and it'll be the right time to say something.
But my experience of that though, Elizabeth, you were sitting here and the moment the performance started, where he's telling this story that you had heard a million times and it was all about him sucking up all the air in the room,
Oh my God.
It was so, I wasn't even looking at you. I felt you. And it was like, and it was like you would literally turn to marble. You were like this.
Which, look at me, I'm never marble.
No, you were so over it.
I was like, if I have to hear this fucking story one more time.
If I have to act like I care about this mother effing story one more time, I cannot. Literally can't do it.
Literally couldn't do it. So that was my story. And then you were like, remember that? And I was like, yes.
I do.
But it was just so important to see how I was not being myself in the presence of that nonsense.
Yes. And how, hello. And how being able to point it out and saying, hold on, we're gonna kill your camera for 1 sec, if you would, so that you don't have to have everyone staring at you while you're doing your thing. Team TC, help us, would you? Please. Where are the people who work here?
Me?
No, yeah, I'm saying kill your camera just till we pull you up.
Oh.
Right on. I also remember us being in San Diego together. And I think this was before, because I feel like Barcelona was like a big thing. I thought we were in San Diego.
That was it. Like, we were done after Barcelona.
Okay, so we were in San Diego before, and we were in the car together, and you and I were trying to spend time together, and he was literally inserted himself into our girls' evening, and I was so pissed because I so did not want to. And I could feel the tension between you guys, and I was like, and then later on when we were alone, I was like, is he any of his own friends? I was curious. Like, I was keeping it really quiet, but I was like, why does he want to hang out with us? Like,
why are we doing this?
Oh, he feels like I'm alone. I was like, oh God, okay. But I knew then, because you were so different when you were with him.
Yeah, man.
I was like, there's no friggin' way that this is gonna last. Like, it's not going to.
Thank God.
I'm glad it didn't. Anyway,
Yeah.
So I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
About, for you, your biggest, let's say, boundary challenge, but thing that you've gotten over, that you've learned, that you've changed, that you pivoted.
You know what I really want to say? This relates to another story I thought of that I almost told, but it was like, it's really not letting. This is the biggest friggin' thing, Terry. I have gotten feedback a lot in my life that I'm intimidating. But the thing is, I am not intimidating. People feel intimidated by me a lot. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. That distinction of not, and like, I swallowed that, took responsibility, like overfunctioned my ass off around that for like honestly, until like last year.
Yep.
And like, it's been stewing for a couple of years, and me being like, oh, this isn't actually my issue, right? This is like, someone feels intimidated by me, but they're making it my problem when it's really theirs, right?
Yes.
So, but last year, yeah, I'm seeing that. Yeah, like, that's really a thing. Because here, can I be intimidating? Absolutely, right? But I'm only ever intimidating when provoked.
You're like, I'm from Staten, hold my fucking earrings. What?
Literally, hang on a second. Like, I can be intimidating if I need to, right? But that's the only thing. I'm only ever intimidating if I need to be.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody is feeling intimidated by me, that's their stuff.
Right.
And that's a big boundary thing too, because I used to like, just like take it like, sure, I'm intimidating. Like, speaking of boundaries, my name is Elizabeth. For anyone here who's new to me, it's not Liz. I went by Liz for many years, but it's definitely Elizabeth. So that's it. No longer like owning, no worries, people do it all the time. Yep. Owning that I am not intimidating. If you feel intimidated by me, that's cool. But say, I feel intimidated.
Yep.
Stop freaking telling me that I am intimidating.
Right. But that's also that is such a boundary distinction of not taking it on. When someone, like, what do we do when someone's trying to blame us, right?
Yeah.
Or, well, if you, whatever, I will literally say, actually, I'm not taking that on.
Yeah.
That's you made that decision of your own free will. So that's you. I will take responsibility for what is mine, but that thing you're talking about, that is not mine. And, people will get pissed if you don't allow them to blame you, but
super pissed,
especially if you used to let them, Yeah,
I had, like, we talked about this last year. I had to let someone go from my team. And that was a big part of the conversation, because she, like, when on our team meeting week in and week out, I would say to her, hey, do you have anything for me or do you need anything from me? You know, and even up front, like when I hire people, I say, I know some people could be intimidated by me. I know these things about myself. So can I trust you to speak up if or when like you feel that way? And people will say yes. I get that there's a power dynamic too, but this person for like months and months and months have been holding stuff in. And I'm like, I can't do anything about something I don't know about. And she was like, well, do you have any idea how intimidating you are? And I was like, nope. Why do you feel intimidated by me? And I just gave it back and she had a meltdown. Meltdown.
Yep. You're like, my responsibility is not to make you feel okay.
No.
You got to know who you are. You got to come to me with what you need. Like you said, there's no crystal ball. What are you going to do? Especially if you've been saying, hi, if you need something, say something, you know?
Literally. And I can take feedback, and I had demonstrated at different junctures in that working relationship that I could take feedback. This person, however, could not.
It's so hard. I used to be so defensive when I was young. Like I didn't even know that's what it was called. Like when someone gives you feedback and then you're like, wait a minute, I did it that way for these 17 reasons and I'm right for these reasons. And you did this, and that one other time you let Bob and whatever, you know?
Yeah.
But I just had this boss who said to me, you know, your defensiveness is really unprofessional.
Oh.
I don't care why you did it the way I don't want you to. I'm just saying, do it the way I want you to. That's it. That's your job.
That's it. That's literally it.
So I went to the bathroom and cried. And then I was like, he's so right. And he's like, listen, this is how you're going to grow and change. I mean, he did it in a slightly hostile way, but I have to say it profoundly impacted me professionally.
Yeah.
Where I got it. And I do not like it when working relationships, someone who's working for me, it is justifying behavior. I don't like it. Just say, I hear you. I got it.
Yeah. Or like be like, I messed up. Or like, I mess up all the time. And I'm like, oh man, I messed that up. So sorry. It's just, I mean, I want to say it's not that hard, but I understand for some people it's very hard.
Yep. You are not kidding. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything
Congratulations. I've been waiting for this book forever. I'm so happy.
I'm so happy too. Thank you for being a support, a pal. I love you. I appreciate you.
Of course. I love you too. All right. Bye.
Kissing you. See ya.
Bye.
Jennifer Basteloff is up next. Where are you? Come on.
Hi.
Hello.
Apparently, I didn't get the memo to shut the camera off. I was like, this is really awkward. Oh, that's because my camera is not supposed to be on.
No. Everyone who came in, the same thing happened. It's a setting. It's not you.
No, it's me. I'm special. Harry.
Do you guys, if you don't know my friend Jan, you might, because she's got a fantastic book out called On Being Human.
I was going to hold it up, but you know me.
I wish
Why would I have it? Why would I have it?
Of course, you wouldn't have it.
No. Okay.
But many probably do know her. But I wanted Jen to come on because she's a really close friend and she's a newer friend. And I love having newer friends. It's so much fun. And it's been such a great support for the book. And we've had a mutual love fest. So we're going to ask, what were the things that you were supposed to talk about? Boundary. Can you share a boundary challenge that has been pivotal in your life journey?
Yeah, I was thinking about this on the drive back just now from Ojai. I took the PCH. I was looking at the ocean and thinking about all this and a couple, but one came to mind that I thought would be cool to talk about. I have a tattoo that says I got you. And it's kind of my whole brand is I got you. And like what has proven hard is over the years when people want more from me than I can give. But you said you got me. But you said you got me. And then I feel bad because I want to people please, and then I end up disappointing. But you know what I realized, and actually you were one of the people, you helped me more than you know, not just from your friendship, but from your teachings and your social media, is when I say that, yes, there's boundaries within that. So like when I say I got you, it's through my book, unless you're my friend in real life. or my teachings or my workshop or whatever it is. But like, there's no way that I can be everyone's best friend or reply to every single email. And I don't say that to be douchey or like I'm
Right.
better than anyone, just human.
Right. It's
So that's something that came up in the drive.
I think that's really interesting, though, because what you're really talking about is clarity around, like, in why it's so important in our relationships that we communicate with transparency and clarity is that this may mean something to you and mean something else to someone else. So if someone is needy, if they had a rough childhood, if they didn't have a good maternal impactor, let's say, and they cathect to you, as we would say therapeutically, right? They attach to you, they're wanting that from you, but that's not what you mean when you say that. So I think that the whole thing about being clear in your messaging is so important, and us being clear about what we can give and what we can't give. And
Uh,
go
And
ahead.
I've only gotten more clear with confidence. Like it's, I've been doing this work now for 12 years or more. And now I have a lot of confidence. But in the beginning, or even I wanted everyone to like me and now it's like, no, this is what I can give. And I'm way more clear right up front.
Yep. Because now we get to avoid the boundary disasters later, because they will come with unclear, with complicated, with convoluted, with indirect communication. Oh, they're definitely coming. It's just a matter of when. And so the same thing, I was on a podcast today talking about clarity in business, like business boundaries. So you hire people, they understand, here are the rules of engagement, this is the values of this company, these are the things that matter. If this is what the expectation is, if you can't make your deadline, you have to tell someone, so that everything else isn't messed up from that point forward, or whatever it is. But we're setting people up to succeed, and it's not just in business, because it's also in friendships and relationships. And I think where it's a little harder to do this is with like acquaintance relationships, or in the beginning of the book, I talk about, I was a bridesmaid, 8 times in my 20s, because I didn't know how to have that conversation to say, I don't think we're close enough friends to be in your wedding. Like, they thought I was, and I didn't think I didn't feel that way, but I didn't know how to say no. So, I mean, you're talking about actually going through the process of being in 4 people's weddings who I didn't feel close enough to be in their weddings. No, I mean, obviously
Man, I would have been too broke back then to do that.
I was broke. On credit cards. I was broke. Like, I was young. And yet the thought of rejecting, quote unquote, the honor was so painful that I would have, like, I probably did get a second job to like be able to do that. But again, that goes to all of the abandoning of self, right? I wanted to please them and not have them, like you said at the top, like not like me, or think I was mean, or think that I thought I was better. I don't know what my fear was, but it was profound enough to actually follow through and do the thing. Kim said that so 20s, isn't it? The confusing friend thing. Friendship in general, though, Kim, I find that female friendships, I did a whole course, the Friendship Breakthrough or Breakup Guide, because I've had so many women, I mean, like a lot, enough to actually create an offering. That's how many women have come to me saying, I really need your help. I need to cut off contact with this person. I need to end this toxic relationship. I will always say, okay, maybe you do, but have you tried talking to them? No, I can't talk to them. You don't know. You don't understand. I'm like, oh no, I understand. I do. You could, and you need to, and you can also just ghost them, but you're going to regret that too. So why don't we just find a way, and I'll come up with all of the scripts for you to lovingly ditch the person. This friendship is not working for, we've not been close in years, or we don't get along. All we do is fight and bicker when we're together. I think this relationship is unhealthy. I think we should go our separate ways. I'll always wish you the best. Bye. Like, you can do it, and you can practice saying it, and you actually have the power to handle it. Because, I wrote this whole thing like a bunch of years ago. Are you good at goodbyes? Right. Like, and I was literally in my 20s, also the worst, like just just leaving people, breaking up with a long-term boyfriend at like 2 a.m, like getting in a cab and leaving, like, not at all good at goodbyes. Didn't want to honor it, didn't want to deal with it. But in the end, when you don't honor your own experience by like properly handling it, it really does come back to haunt you. Have you had any of those experiences, my friend Jan?
Have I had any way?
Have you had any experiences
My whole life. I mean, I mean, so many. First of all, I could just listen to you talk forever. There's something, I want you to do a one-person show, but there's something about your voice, like the smoky quality, the content, but the rhythm, and you're beautiful. But there's just like, I'm like, just keep talking. Well, look, first of all, today's my dad's birthday, which
Oh,
is,
happy birthday, Dad.
my dad dropped dead when I was 8 years old, so there's the original primal, like, never got to say goodbye. And then my first love, my boyfriend, we went out for 4 years and he broke up with me over the fucking phone.
Wow. Dude,
And yeah, 4 years, like love of my life. I mean, not anymore, but
right.
like, so in no way would I ever want to be with them. I think, thank you. But I have constant dreams about it. There's so many, there's a lot of experiences in my life, actually, because I'm so resistant to change, even though I work through it, so I avoided saying goodbye. And it's, yeah, I mean, to use a kind of overused word, but closure is not there.
Yep.
Maybe it's not an overused word, but I think it's maybe misunderstood.
I agree with you, but I want to say something about that. If you're dreaming about a situation, and if you haven't done this, and maybe you have, Jen, because I know you're a journaler and you got your own thing, but
I'm not, though. I'm terrible at journaling.
all right, so I'm gonna give you an assignment. You're gonna write a letter to the person. We're not gonna send it, but you're gonna write the most unedited, the most truthful, the most from your heart. If you're rageful, you write that. If you're angry, write that. If you're sad, and the honest stuff, which is what you missed about, like what you loved about the relationship, what you missed about the relationship, and what you were kind of like, well, I'm kind of psyched, I'm never doing that shit again. Like there are things over here where you're like, this is the pro list for having that relationship end. And have you call me, we'll get on FaceTime. I'll witness it, right? Really witness it, having just one loving other who just holds space for you to truly release. And then we'll stay on and you'll do a ritualistic burn, but you'll take a picture of it in case you eventually do want to send it to the person. And then you're going to see okay. So then we're just going to burn it with no picture. And then we're going to see if you stop dreaming about it. And I think my professional opinion is that if in the excavating by writing, you get to what it's really about, because I don't know if it's about that or if that it's about something underneath that, but that'll be the beginning.
Oh, the letter. I'm clear on that.
Oh, okay.
Clear.
So then when can we write a letter about the original injury? The original injury's dad?
Oh, yeah. I'm like, am I ever going to stop writing about my dead father? No. Talking about it? No. No. But yeah, it's, that's what it is. And to be quite frank, and then also the way my parents had no boundaries with me are the big reason why boundaries are, I did not grow up with them. You wrote your book for me. I didn't. I mean, my mom never locked the door. People just walked in our house. What a metaphor. In New Jersey, literally. And I panic. I still wake up in the middle of the night like, are the doors locked?
Yeah.
Are the doors locked? Mom, did you lock the doors?
Yep.
So
yeah, that would definitely make you not feel safe.
I know.
the unlocked door, and always checking, because as a kid, it's not really your responsibility, but it's almost like having adult responsibility where you're like, I can't remember. I was watching cartoons, I was eating cereal, and then I was like, oh my God, are the doors locked? You know what I mean? It's disruptive. So we all need this book. See, even best-selling authors and teachers and coaches and amazingly successful folks.
Yeah, I called you last week. I mean, I'm wildly successful, and I had an experience. Yeah, I just said that. And so I own that. And what I always say, if anyone has any kind of feelings about someone owning that, check in,
Yeah.
So I had an experience where someone sent me a text message, not going to get into what it was, but it like broke me. And the very first, I'm on the toilet, and the very first person I was like, I must talk to Terry Cole, you know? I said, someone set a boundary with me, and you coached me through it lovingly and with compassion and humor.
And how
And
you
in fact, clarified that it wasn't a boundary they set.
Yes. I was waiting for you to get to the punchline, which is that. Because if it was just a boundary that they set, you wouldn't have reacted that way, honestly.
I tattooed that on my brain, Terry Cole. I was
Mhm.
like, wait a minute, but Terry's the boundary queen. And she said, because immediately I was like, someone set a boundary with me and it's so painful and it hurts. It's like, girl, that wasn't a boundary. No.
That was something else. Well, anyway, I love you for coming on. People
Thank
are all
you.
saying wildly successful is great. If you can do it, so can I. Exactly. That's the vibe I'm talking about, Patricia. Tracy said, Jen, mother effing Basiloff. That's correct. We know who we are. I love you. I so
I love
appreciate
you.
you and the support,
Congratulations.
all the things. Thank you, my friend.
I love
Maybe
you.
we can actually just FaceTime for relaxation now and not talk about book strategy. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah, but I love doing this for you. I want everyone in the world to have your book. So I'm Team Terry all the way.
You are. Well, thank you, my friend, for showing up. I'm
Love
kissing you.
you. Love you.
Love you too, baby. Bye.
Bye.
You guys, we have our next pal coming. And he might already be here. I don't even know. Yeah, thanks, Tanya. One of my, I don't know if he's here yet, so I'm just going to talk about him for a sec. One of my, it's funny. We both refer to each other as mentors. And it's David G. I don't know if you know his work. It's David J.I. altogether, David G. He taught me to meditate freaking 20 years ago. And we were just soulmates in our own way, And I love him so much. And he's been such a supportive friend. He's close with Vic and I both. I hope you were on, David G, and you saw the chicks and the goslings, were you? Hold on, we're going to unmute you. Hi, friend. Wait a minute, I can't see you. Hold on. Hold on. I'm going to tell Vic you're on so we can come out. I'm going to ask to unmute you and find your camera. Team TC, help David G. I hear birds.
Oh, hello. Hey,
Hi.
hey, congratulations.
Oh,
Congratulations. Bravo, brava to you.
thank you, my
So,
friend.
so amazing. I'm sorry I was delayed. I was watching you on YouTube, and so that was coming to my ear at the same time. So
I got
I have
you.
to shut down YouTube.
No worries. I'm so happy you're here. You're bringing home the finale because we're gonna wrap it at 9. And I just wanted you to come on. It's funny. I really chose the people. Like, who are the people? Oh my God! Hi, David G from Syracuse. Right on. See, we got David G fans in the house. I love it. Such a power
Nice.
team. Yeah, baby. Yeah, friend.
It's us.
But I was laughing and saying that we both refer to each other as such an important teacher to the other. I'm always like, my mentor. You're always like, Terry's my mentor. And in ways we have actually been that for each other in this life. So briefly, I'm just going to say, when I first met David, I didn't even have my own website. It was many years ago. And in New York City, Vic and I were doing a weekend within with the Chopra Center when David was still the head of education at the Chopra Center. And how we got the tickets to go is Vic was doing a in Golf Magazine. He was illustrating this column for many years with David Faraday, who's a golfer and a friend. And we get something in the mail, and I open it and I say to Vic, why is David Faraday sending us a thing from, it says Chopra Center on it, I don't know what it is. I open it up and it's a $3,000 gift certificate to the Chopra Center. So I go, what the hell is this? So he goes, I don't know, call him. I called him and I was like, David, what's going on? He was like, Daddy, I can't do it. He has an Irish accent and I have the worst. I can't. I would try. He was like, I'm a raging alcoholic. And I was like, yeah, everyone knows, David. He was like, I thought this place was a different kind of center. So he thought it was a rehab.
He was sending you to rehab.
So he was like, and when I realized it wasn't, I realized I wasn't going to meditate myself out of my addiction. So would you guys use it? And I was like, fine. So anyway, that's how we ended up there that day. And we're at this event and you're not supposed to take pictures. And I was blogging for Chris Carr's blog at the time, which was Crazy Sexy Cancer at the time. And David said, give me your camera. I'll take a picture. Don't worry. And that was the beginning of a forever friendship. He was like, I loved the rule breaker. He was from New York. He had a New York accent. I was like, I don't know who this guy is, but whatever he's doing, I could get with that. That is how we met.
So perfect. And through the years, I've attended your events and you've attended my events and you've gotten certified as a meditation teacher.
With David, you guys can do as well, but go ahead.
Page 118 in Boundary Boss. Oh, you think I've put some attention on this lately? Or perhaps on this or on this, so I could give it to everyone that I bump into. So I'm in your front row always. You're one of your VIPs.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, I love this book. I love so much in this book. And, I, of course, like everybody, are challenged by boundaries, setting them, seeing them, things along those lines. And your book is, your whole section on corrupted boundary data, so powerful, so important. I'm telling you, I have so many notes here and so many things that I was like, oh, I thought I knew that. Nope, Terry's teaching me again. So just so powerful. And I love your 48-hour rule for the boundary reversal. Mm-hmm. That was, because, laying in bed and it's only been 6 hours and you're like, oh.
Right. So those of you, if you haven't gotten to that part of the book yet, there's a section where when we first start really laying down boundaries, even if we're doing it very gently, we will have this compulsion, this drive. We really want to take it back. We really want to say we were just kidding. We really want, exactly, Patricia, right? The 48 hours is powerful because what happens is when you take it off the table, when you say, oh, this is the moment, this is what I'm feeling, I see, okay. Well, my directive is I wait 48 hours. I promise you, you will not want to take that boundary back. If the boundary is aligned with who you are, with how you feel, with what you want, the desire to reverse it is based on fear, childhood shit, unconscious stuff. And really it's fear. We're just afraid to be rejected. We're afraid to be judged. We're afraid people won't think we're nice, all of that stuff. But being dishonest in your relationships, right? Saying yes when you want to say no. We have fully established that shit is not nice. That is dishonest. That's it, right?
So true. And you refer to it as like the waiting period. And, I'm lying in bed thinking, oh, I know they're thinking about that boundary that I set. And now they're talking to their partner that they don't like me. And they're saying, we thought we knew him, but no, we thought he was this nice guy, but he just laid a boundary down. And so I fantasize and create the whole story. But that rule actually, I've had this book now for, I don't know, maybe 6 days. And that one particular, and I've read it twice. So just, that waiting period it's moksha, it's freedom. It was a liberation to me because, I said, you know what? It's okay if they're having the conversation. It's okay if they're plotting my demise. It's okay if they're planning how they're never going to talk to me again. But you know what? I'm going to stay with the 48-hour waiting period. And in that situation, which is fresh, it's full moon fresh. We're in the glow, still in the glow of the full moon.
Yep.
It's that fresh. And I was like, I think at like hour 36, I was like, you know what? It feels good having that boundary there. I like that one. Okay. And I'm willing to live with whatever the repercussions of that are, which you teach so eloquently and so beautifully in the book, that we set the boundary and we can't ever control what happens on the other side of that, but I can always control what happens here.
And what you would say though, DJ, and this impacted me too about, and I think it's a Rumi quote about, we are never responsible. We're responsible for, the quote, the words, deeds, whatever, but not the fruit of them, right? Is that
Yeah,
the quote?
it's actually chapter 2, verse 47 of the Bhagavad Gita. We have total control over our own actions and no control over the fruit. It's like, poof.
That is so liberating to me. And that actually impacted the way that I was able to sort of write that part of it, where there has to be the moment where we literally let the chips fall where they may. David, when you said, I thought, you know what, this actually feels good. This is correct for me. And it's okay, because another thing is recognizing our projection of people talking about us, people thinking we're now an asshole, we're a jerk, we're terrible, we're not nice, we're falling from grace, especially when, if you're someone who you have this public life, you're held in high esteem by all these people, there's something about that projecting, am I going to not have that? Will I not be held in high esteem? So much of that shit is projection. And when you don't take it back, you realize I've had so many different experiences where people come to me and say, I really respect you for saying that. I feel like I can trust you because you said that. I know you're a straight shooter. And
Right.
let's not confuse that with people who use their truth as a big stick to beat you in the face with, right? Not that. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about knowing what is your side of the street and being just so clear. And we can always be loving too, right?
Right. And you speak about that because a lot of people, want to have a harsh conversation with you and they want to unload on you, and they preface it with, my truth is.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, that's just your announcement that you're about to say some really mean stuff to me. and I'm not going to take it personally.
Nope. So. You're like, nope. If it has to do with me and what I should do with my life and what you think about the size of my ass or how I look in these jeans or my new haircut, that's actually not the truth. That's your judgment.
Yeah.
Which is not the same thing.
Hey, that's your opinion. And if you really want opinions, go on Twitter, because everybody, there's 10 million opinions happening every second on Twitter. We can see that there.
Yes.
Terry, the book is just, for those of you who have not yet ordered the book, what are you waiting for? That's all I've got to say. It will, here's my guarantee to you. Within 15 minutes of this book entering your hands, you'll have an aha moment about some aspect of your life. And, Terry doesn't just go like, well, here's a problem, and then there's another problem. Solve it, pal, as Terry would say. That's not what she says. She says, oh, you want a script? You want a thing here? And I have done that for years. When I'm about to have the difficult conversation, I've written it down on an index card, and I've sort of like read it over like 3 or 4 times, even if it's a phone call. And your scripts are so perfect because how they introduce it, because it's not like out of the blue. Right. Here's how I was feeling, and I wanted to share that with you. I mean, these are loving bridges to powerful and important and intimate conversations. And you're so genius at it. You're so truly amazing.
Why, thank you, my friend. What we're hoping, I'm really hoping, like for my wish, my intention, I would love it if you would all join me in this intention for this book, is that we create this massive positive ripple. That if there's someone who needs it, share it. Get your library. I did a whole thing about asking people, and many of you have done it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Ask your library to carry the book. So if someone can't afford to purchase a book, they can still get this medicine. I hope it's medicine for people to heal.
Love that.
From this disordered way of interacting. Yes, thank you. Sharing like crazy. Thank you, Kara. Yes. Gave it to my best friend. Buy for the women in your life, the men in your life. Because nobody, even those of us who know a lot, most people have not mastered this, because there is not a comprehensive step 1. Let's start in your childhood and move to now, which is what I did only because it's what I've done in the trenches, in the foxholes with my clients for almost 25 years. So it isn't like, I think I have an idea for a book. It's like, I've lived this with thousands of people for 2 decades, then created a course to actually perfect it. And
Right.
did that course for 5 years, making the changes along the way before I wrote the book. Because you need to go, does it work? You can't write a book and be like, I'm guessing, I think this is probably good.
So
But
brilliant.
actual evidence that it works is really helpful. But I appreciate how supportive this community has been. Those of you, because this is on Zoom right now, and then we have it, the overflow is going on to YouTube. So the people on YouTube maybe have not purchased. Almost everyone on the Zoom has purchased, because this came along with purchasing. But if you haven't, go to boundarybossbook.com. Think about taking the course. We're doing this special thing. It's terrycole.com/boss. And David, I don't know if you were on before when I was talking about, we revamped the course. It's literally like this special edition in place of doing a world tour with the book. I just decided to pour myself into the course because it would create more closeness with the readers and with people. So I'm really actually amped to do it. I got to stay home. I got to be with Vic all the time. I got to get goslings and chicks.
Oh my
David,
God, that's got. Oh my, I
no,
you need to just post pictures of you, boundary boss with one of the goslings, and suddenly the world will be because I'm sure there's like a special Instagram gosling following, and so you can step right into that mode.
Exactly. So I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Is there anything else you want to say, David G, before we wrap it up?
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Here's a boundary that I established a while ago. I established this boundary about 8 years ago, and it is the boundary that my phone is on silent. My phone is always on silent. My phone is never not on silent. So of course, it's usually my family who they're reaching me and they're like, ugh, hit his voicemail again. Well, the amount of passive aggressive responses I got in the first year that, your phone's on silent, we can never reach you, we're always leaving messages, blah, blah, blah. But if my phone's ringing and I suddenly see it, and I know that call is meant to actually happen
Totally.
because I'm actually there. And so I bore the brunt of a lot of that, of people. It was always passive aggressive. It was like, well, I'd call you, but things along those lines. And I'm like, and I always return calls, and I'll always, but you're not going to really get me live unless I see the phone is actually in ring mode. And so reading your book again really helped me, restore, confidence. It's an important boundary for me because my phone rings about 500 times a day, and I'm getting, hundreds and hundreds of texts, and I want to be fully present for moments like this. And I don't want to be like, oh, can you just that would be happening all day long. I don't want to do that. So it was very, very hard. I took a lot of abuse, all passive aggressive, all angry and mean and drama. And, here we are several years later, I still get it, but it just goes right past me. I don't even feel that anymore. I felt it. I didn't need the 48-hour rule. I needed the 365-day rule that first that first year. But here I am 7 years on the other side of that. And this book helped me just really crystallize so many things, so many practices I was doing. It helped me refine some things that I thought, oh, I've mastered that. But no, Terry says, try this a little bit on that, teaching your old brain new tricks, just a lot of the stuff. It's so insightful. I know this book didn't come out of thin air. I know this came from such a body of wisdom that's rippling inside of you. And I think it's great. Not that I wouldn't want to show up for your virtual book tours every single day, no matter where you are. But the fact that you're offering a course to really take these teachings into everyone's life through your words, through your examples, it's genius. It's wonderful. And if you have not yet taken a course with Terry, this should be your step in. Plus, it's discounted. It's special. We're like, let's seize this moment when Terry's let down her boundary on this thing. Let's take advantage of that and really learn to enhance our boundaries. And I'm so proud of you. I'm so thrilled for your success. And and the free gifts that you have offered when people buy the book. You know, I'm in like 5 different levels already of your free gifts because I just keep buying copies of it and I just want to share it with the world. So
I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you so much for sharing all the stuff and being in my front row. And you've been there for a long time, David. You really are a true blue pal. You are my brother from another mother. And you really have inspired me. So thank you. And thank you for spending time with us here tonight. I appreciate it. You know, I am going to be coming out to Cali in June. So I'll see you then. I'm going to come visit you guys.
I can't wait.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm kissing you. And to the rest of you who are here, if you have any questions, you know where to go with that. Because someone's asking questions about the course. We're going to be sending you all the info. Look at David's book. Look at David's book. He's like, I think I've been through this a time or two. Yes, you all need David G in your front row. You're not kidding, sister. You do. And you can be in his front row. I'm in his community, which I love so much, a whole bunch of meditators hanging out. So you can follow him on Insta, and then you can find all of his offerings. If you need a little more Zen in your life, you know where to get it. And the rest of you, any questions, you know what to do, terrycole.com/boss. In the meantime, so much gratitude for all of you. So many of you are my early adapters. So many of you have been through courses. And if you're new to this, welcome. And I'm happy that you're here. But I see those of you who've been in my professional front row for a long time, don't think I don't notice. And I appreciate you so very much. So thank you, thank you, thank you. This book now, you guys, The Boundary Revolution is officially on. Let's bring it. Let's share it. Ripple effect.
So
all right. I think that's going to wrap it up, you guys, unless there's anything else. I don't think there is. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Woo! Thanks, Gigi. I love you. Appreciate you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.